Hey YouTube, welcome back to another deck profile here on the channel. Today we are doing an update to my Trap Exodia deck. Since that last video, it's been a couple years, I've picked up the Exodia in Legendary Incarnate, Obliterate, and now that we have Chicken Game back and Upstart at 3, I thought it was time to go ahead and just show this deck again. It's a really fun deck. If you want to play Exodia, this is definitely my favorite way to play it right now. I'm excited for the new support whenever we get it in info here. Infinite Forbidden, I think it's July 18th in TCG, at least in North America, if I remember from what I saw correctly. But yeah, anyways, that's it for an intro. Let's go ahead. We're going to get straight on into this. We're going to start off here with our win con. So this is the goal of the deck. We're gonna go ahead and try to assemble all 5 pieces of Exodia, the Forbidden One. Once we have all 5 in our hand, we win the duel. Does not activate, no way to stop it. It's just the card's condition, we got it. And now, since we can play a 35 card deck, theoretically, 36 if you want to run Terraforming, spoiler, I'm not. 34 card deck if you wanted to run Terraforming. My apologies. I think I said 36. But yeah, this is our end goal. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna try to get to this. I have not picked up any sort of ultras yet. I'd love to get the lost arts of this, just because it's so much fun. I do need to pick up another playset. Playset is in, you know, another whole copy of them, because I still want to keep my trap version intact. Once we get the new support, and then that way I can keep updating it from there. You know, a lot of people seem to really enjoy it, so I'm glad to put it out there to share my info, to share my knowledge on, you know, this kind of build. But that is it. We're gonna leave these right here. I think that's probably about centered. So we're gonna go ahead. Since I did say I'm running it now, I'm running 3, the Legendary Exodia Incarnate. So he has an inherent summoning ability that he contribute 1 of any of the Forbidden One monsters. And then he can't be special summoned by other ways. He cannot be normal summon set. And then gains 1,000 attack for each Forbidden One monster in the grave and is unaffected by other cards' effects. So your opponent has to swing over this. Once per turn, during the end phase, you can go ahead and add one back one Forbidden One monster from your grave to your hand, and then when it is destroyed by battle and sent to the grave, you can reveal any number of Forbidden One monsters in your hand, and if you do, draw 1 card for each. I'm running 3. If you want to try to get away with 2, you can. If you want to run Terraforming, you could drop one of this. That's fine. But yeah, he's an absolutely incredible card. He helps block an attack, which is crucial for this deck. The main point, since this is a trap focused build, is to try to stay alive as long as possible. We do have some heavy hitter draw cards, traps in here. But you've got to try to survive. That's the worst part about this. This isn't a solitaire deck necessarily, like a 1-turn solitaire deck. It kind of plays for a couple turns and then it gets there. To help with the battling, we're going to go ahead and use Battle Fader. Just completely ends the battle phase. It's only on a direct attack though. If your opponent's monster declares one, you can special summon this from the hand and the battle phase, and then if it's special summoned by this effect, it is removed from play when it leaves the field. Absolutely incredible card. Might see a lot more play even in the meta with Tenpai Dragons. But, you know, I'm not entirely sure. It's phenomenal in this deck because it does give you a full other turn. Ends the battle phase unless it gets negated. But since Barone and Savage are gone, unless a deck can inherently make that, or an Appaloosa very easily, you've got a good chance. Last monsters we've got 2 Witch of the Black Forest. Same with my old build, which adds any of the monsters here, any of the pieces, Incarnate or Battle Fader, from your deck to your hand. You can't use their effects, activated effects, or effects of that card's name for the rest of the turn. You can still summon the Incarnate, but you cannot use the effect to add back, because you are not allowed to, at least I believe so, because it says you cannot activate activate cards with that effect, not negate the effects. But yeah, absolutely incredible card. I was planning this at 3 with a Sengen, but then the ban list dropped a little while ago, gave us back 3 Upstart, and then most recently we went ahead and got back Chicken Game, which, oh, I'm so happy. Oh, I dusted it out of my bulk stuff, and I was like, it's time, buddy. I love that card so much. Having that and Upstart and 1 day a piece in this deck was so much fun back in the day. That's actually it for the monsters, so I'm gonna get these guys off the board here. Starting off with the spells, I think there's only like 6 or so. We're running triple Upstart. Self-explanatory. The life points is actually very beneficial for this build. If anyone remembers from last time, if you are returning from that, I do run a trap card that wants your opponent to have a lot more life points than you. So this is great. It's a free draw. If they draw you, it's whatever. You only draw a couple times on your turn anyway, so it's not really the end of the world. Here is our 4th honorary 1 day Upstart. It's 1 day apiece. Each player draws a card with this one. No life point gain, but you don't take damage until the end of the next turn. So you're offering them a draw to survive a whole battle fader. Their battle phase is useless. You don't take damage. They can destroy your monsters if they want to destroy Witch, and then you can, you know, get the effect off, which is incredible. I don't know why they would do that. But this card, if it came back at more than 1, this would be busted. I think that this card has to stay at 1. Running 2 Potted Dualities in this build, since we are running the Legendary Incarnate, that is a special summon. This does conflict a little bit. That is why I dropped it down to 2. It's still an incredible card. It lets you pick for whatever trap, piece, you know, Witch, Battle Fader, whatever you want. Or you can even set up and get an Incarnate for next turn if you have like 4 other traps in hand. I think it's incredible. It's definitely not something to cut entirely. Definitely better than Extravagance and running an extra deck, because as you can tell, a lot of stuff in here draws. So we don't want to lose the ability to keep drawing cards. After that, we got our 1 copy of Chicken Game. So if anyone's unfamiliar with this card, the player with the lowest life points takes no damage whatsoever. So if you can keep this thing on the field, when you get really low, you are set. And then once per turn, during the main phase, the turn player can pay 1,000 life points. It's crucial that it's 1,000. And then use one of these effects. Draw a card, destroy this card, your opponent gains 1,000 life points. Sometimes you will do the 3rd one to give them another 1,000, but most of the time you're just going to keep it on the field, draw a card. That's literally it. There is pretty much no other reason why besides that and not taking damage that you're going to want that. Because if you Chicken Game and do an Upstart, they are pretty much forced to pay 1,000 and pop this if they want to try to kill you. But since you're drawing 2 cards, there is a chance that you're seeing one of your, what is that, 7, 8, 9 cards that can help stop the battle phase. So, excluding this, it would be 10 with this, but you can't do this on your opponent's turn. But yeah, that's it for the spells. There's not very many. We don't need a lot. The deck is mainly focused on the trap cards here. Starting off with the traps, though, we have 3 of the Continuous Obliterate. So this card is pretty phenomenal. It is a 1 or the other effect per turn, and only once per turn, which makes it a little worse, but it does balance it a lot, because if not, this card would be bonkers. So the effect of Obliterate, for people that don't know, is you can target a monster on the field, which is cost, and send a Forbidden One or Exodia card from your hand or deck to the grave. And if you do, return that target to the hand. And then if this card is sent from the spell and trap zone to the graveyard, target a Forbidden One monster or Exodia card in your grave, add it to your hand. The target for the add back is cost, so if they have DD Crow and it's a piece, well, you kind of lose. I mean, if they have Bestials, you kind of lose. That's you're not going to have a fun time with that, guys. And like I said, the last bit of text on it, you can only use 1 effective Obliterate per turn, and only once that turn. Next for draws, we've got 3 Jar of Greed. If Pot of Greed came back, I'd probably cut one of these for Pot of Greed. Absolutely incredible. Jar of Greed is literally just super simple. Draw 1 card. I don't know how to put it any easier for you guys. Next, we're doing a double Jar of Greed, which is Reckless Greed. It does make you skip your next 2 draw phases, but it does allow you to draw 2 right then and there. But we do have enough draw consistency that it normally isn't a problem, especially if you do chain them. So if you chain link 1 Reckless Greed, and then you can chain link 2 Reckless Greed and 3 Greed if you have it. But you can chain them in the same chain, and the draw phases don't stack, but the draws do. Since they were activated at the same time, you're not skipping any more draw phases. And then, yeah, it's just incredible. It's basically just a slow Pot of Greed for this deck. It's not really a hindrance to skip the draw phases. If you are pushed for cards, it can be, but it's not really that crazy of a problem. Next, still running the 1 Accumulated Fortune. I love this card. It is probably one of my favorite cards ever. I love the artwork on it, just the shine through the cards on that like tablet table looking thing. But you can only activate it as a chain link 4 or higher, and you draw 2 cards, but you can't activate this card if multiple cards or effects, I think, with the same name are in that chain. So if you do Reckless Greed, you can't Reckless Greed and then something else and then this. But you can do the second Reckless Greed after this. So your opponent activates something, you Reckless Greed, they're like, okay. You chain, like, Obliterate to it, chain link 3. Okay. Don't need to use the effect of Obliterate, then you can use 4 for Accumulated Fortune, and then 5 Reckless Greed, because it only checks what's going on before it. It's kind of like Chain Strike, where if there's another one activated after it, at least I believe that's how it works. If I'm wrong, guys, please do let me know down below. I would appreciate it. But I believe that's how it works. I believe it's like Chain Strike, where you can chain Chain Strike to Chain Strike. And then you are perfectly fine. It resolves fine. But I love this card. It's going to stay in here as a one-of unless we get Chicken Game back at more copies, which in that case, this will probably come out. Next, this is the heavy hitter in the deck. We've got our Hope for Escape. You can only activate this if your life points are at least 1,000 lower than your opponent's. You pay 1,000 life points and draw 1 card for every 2,000 difference between your life points and your opponent's. So, Upstart immediately makes this live. Chicken Game immediately makes this live. The next card in the deck will immediately make this live. Pretty much having Chicken Game back gave you another card to immediately let you just start drawing. Normally you can take a couple hits first from your opponent and then try to stop their attacks, which is normally better. That way you get really low, but try to keep at least 3,000 because you want to resolve this. Okay, you want to try to... Sometimes you only need to resolve 1 because they're going to have all of these, which are gift cards. It gives your opponent 3,000 life points. If anyone's familiar with Nurse Burn, this card's used in it. It burns them for 3k instead of giving them 3k. And this deck, we want them to have the life points, though. So, more to you. Not once per turn. You can give them 9,000. 3 upstarts is 12,000. Chicken Game's 13,000. And then on top of that, you activate a Hope for Escape. You draw on 7 cards because there's going to be a 14,000 difference. I back in the day, that was pretty common with 3 Chicken Game. But now, we're just going to manage, okay? For a couple more battle protections, we're running Wabaku. If you wanted to run this at 3, you absolutely could. I'm only running 2 because I'm running 2 of another card. So Wabaku, you take no battle damage from your opponent's monsters this turn, and monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. The only thing that sucks about this is that they can't destroy your Witch of the Black Forest, but if they have a lot of bodies on board, you could go ahead and just let them swing first, like 1 or 2 times, and then flip this, and then you're pretty much safe from there. It's a really good card. There are some interactions that are a little rough and unfortunate, But in all, it's a really good card. But I honestly prefer this. I prefer Threatening Roar. This card's incredible. What else do I have to say? Threatening Roar, also simple text. Your opponent could not declare an attack this turn. I think the most text in this entire deck is probably the Exodia Incarnate and Obliterate. After that's Accumulated Fortune, and everything else is in a line or two. Oh, actually, scratch that. Chicken Game now. But still, Threatening Roar just prevents your opponent from attacking, especially in this upcoming format with Tenpai Dragon. When they want to go second, you might actually single-handedly win that matchup without even having to side. Like it's that easy. If you want to decide, I definitely Dark Bribe. Judgment is a really good option for this deck. Same with Iron Thunder, just so you can negate Lightning Storms and Harpies and whatnot, because you want to protect your back row. But yeah, that is actually it for the entire deck. It is 40 cards even, guys. Again, if you do enjoy the video, please feel free to leave a like down below. I would love to hear what you guys think of this list. I've spent a little bit of time in the making trying to get this perfected for you. I love it. I will always love this deck. One of the first ones I've ever built. But that's it. Exodia. Oh, he's back. He's back, guys. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next one. And you guys, have a good one. Peace.